Hello, everybody. I want to apologize because I'm not really going to address any of the comments for a little while. There are some things that I would like to say, and there's some stuff that I really want to get off my chest. Today, I was at a rally for the deaths that have occurred in Gaza, and I really feel like there needs to be a historical context before we really have a conversation about what's happened. So what restarted the conversation, right? Not what started the conversation. What restarted the conversation about Palestine and all the horrible things going on there is that on October 7th, Hamas commandos came by sea, land, and parachuted in with very old Vietnam era technology about 24 kilometers past the border of Gaza, and conducted a series of raids. These raids caused the deaths of roughly 300 people, along with a series of air rocket attacks. However, I have to make a point here. This did not start 3 days ago. I want to be a very, very clear individual. This issue did not start 3 years ago. This has been 75 years of occupation, of house demolitions, of settler violence, of torture, of interrogations. This isn't something that started yesterday. And I think to frame it so is harmful. I think that I've seen a lot of media outlets provide absolutely no context. And I want to say something else to the people that are watching this show. The natural enemy of the Jewish people have never traditionally been Arabs. I'm going to say that again so you understand and listen to me. The natural enemy of the Jewish people have historically and traditionally never been Arab people. The enemy of Arab people have historically and traditionally never been the Jewish people. I'm going to say something right now. The people who have expulsed and thrown out and completely rejected and had pogroms against Jewish people are imperialistic European nations. And when people ask, were they the ones raping and pillaging? Yeah, those nations did way more raping and pillaging than anything that you can compare to what happened 3 days ago. England expulsed all of its Jewish people. Austria expulsed all of its Jewish people. France, Lithuania, Hungary, Portugal. I'm reading a list here. Sicily, Spain, Milan, Naples, before Italy became a country. Germany. All of these nations kicked out all of their Jewish people at some point. Historically speaking, I'm going to say this again so you understand me. Please listen. The natural and historic enemy of the Jewish people has never been Arabs, right? In order for colonialism to succeed, whatever replaces it has to fail. That's why when the British Empire left India, it partitioned India, right? It made the Indians and the Pakistani people believe that they somehow did this, but nothing happens without England's approval. When they left, they made sure to leave India, Pakistan, and East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh there. Because if they were to succeed without England, it would be a clear indication that they never needed colonialism in the first place. So when the British left their protectorate and positions, which they gained after World War I, when they left them after World War II, what they had to realize and recognize was that whatever replaced it had to be a catastrophe. I'm not going to answer questions that are in the comments. I'm not talking to the comment section until I'm done saying what the fuck I have to say. Then I'll have a conversation with all of y'all. And if you're brave enough, I'll go live with people because this is serious to me. So when we discuss this, we have to keep that in mind, right? Europe was more than happy to see Israel created because it was more than happy to kick out as many Jewish people as it could. Europe has traditionally been the biggest anti-Semite of all places. This is 100% true. I think it's also necessary for me to point out and say that nobody with any real sense of morality can laugh or justify rape or killing little kids. But I think that it's horrific that now people want to talk about rape, right? A month ago, we didn't want to talk about the amount of women that were raped by soldiers, right? You didn't want to talk about the amount of Palestinian women who were raped by Israeli soldiers. We didn't want to even have that conversations, you know? And it's not about comparing one to another and saying, oh, this one's bad, so this one's good. I think they call that whataboutism. No, it's about a historical context, which obviously some people are afraid of. If you are saying, man, I wish Technique wouldn't talk about history, then you're an intellectual coward because you don't want to hear history. Again, the natural enemy of the Jewish people have never been Arabs, have never been Muslims. It has always been right-wing Christian entities that have wanted them dead, that expulsed them from their countries, that had pogroms against them, that pitted them against Palestinians who were living there, because what had to replace imperialism was chaos. Without chaos replacing imperialism, there would be nothing. This is why these people have been pitted against each other. Do you understand? I hope that you do. I've lost followers because I posted things about Palestine the last 3 days. Some people, even who are in hip hop, have unfollowed me because they don't like the stance that I've taken supporting the Palestinian refugees in a bombardment by the 5th largest army in the world, who is also a nuclear war power. Do you understand? So when individuals discuss and make it seem like this started yesterday, this didn't start yesterday. This started 75 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to say these things because it's very important for me to say. When I see people online talking about a crusade, remember, half the crusades were against other Christians. I'm going to say this again, half the crusades were not even against Muslims. Astaghfirullah, listen. Half the crusades were not against Muslims and Arabs. They were against other Christians to consolidate power, to make the Catholic Church the most powerful entity in Europe. And when the Crusaders took Jerusalem, they slaughtered the Jews and the Arabs side by side. They slaughtered Jewish people and Muslim people side by side. Always remember that, please. That said, this war is now going to expand. It's going to expand. Israel has firmly blamed Iran for giving the drone technology that was used to destroy Israeli tanks by Hamas. Hamas didn't effectively have this technology before. And so they are saying that because Iran did this, that Iran is now a target. The Taliban, who is a Salafist entity, super Sufi almost. I'm assuming he's not Salafist, but super Sufi, although some are Salafists, have even had a conversation with Iran for free passage. Do you understand what's happening here? This was also done for other reasons. Saudi Arabia was going to have a normalization treaty with Israel. That is now off the table, and I'm going to tell you why. Saudi Arabia has a kingdom, but a king does not rule by fear alone. A king must inspire his people. The Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and his father and every single member of that royal family knows they cannot normalize relations with Israel now, or they may risk a rebellion that consumes their entire kingdom. If Iran is attacked, then most certainly Syria and Lebanon will be in the mix. Do you understand what that means? That means the potential start of World War III, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to get into the larger players. How does this affect other regional fights? someone was talking about how this would affect the war in the Ukraine. 100% this affects the war in the Ukraine. Vladimir Zelensky, although he made statements supporting Israel, should realize this is the end for you. Do you understand? I know that there are people who support the Ukraine in the comments. This is the end for you. The eye of Europe is being taken off the Ukraine. They learned their lesson from Napoleon and Hitler. You cannot fight a two-front war. The EU has suspended $665 million in aid that would normally go to Palestinian people for food and for a variety of other things. That will be picked up by either China or Russia. But remember, this money didn't go directly to Palestinians. It went to Israelis that then gave it to Palestinians. Do you understand? And I think that when you talk about major players in the game, this does affect them, right? The other thing that I'm going to explain to you is that America cannot guarantee Israel's safety. I'm going to say that again. America cannot guarantee Israel's safety. It can only give them weapons that they think figuratively could potentially protect them from some kind of rocket attack, the Iron Dome system and everything else. But even the people who don't like me, who may be in the comments because I'm not reading them, upset at me, you have to acknowledge something. The only people who can secure Israel, right, are Russia and China. And if you disagree with me, then I'm afraid that you need to read up a little bit more about history. Can America call Iran and tell them to stand down? No. Can America call Syria and ask them to stand down? No. Can America call North Korea and ask them to stand down? No. Can America call Saudi Arabia and ask them to stand down? Can they call Lebanon and ask them to stand down? Can they call anyone in North Africa and ask them to stand down? America can't ask anybody for shit. The only people who could make Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, right? Every single person in that region potentially stand down and come to the table. The only people who can guarantee Israel's safety right now. And if you love Israel and or you're just a person that wants to see all of this end, if you're a Jewish person that thinks I just want this all to end, just remember America can no longer guarantee your safety. It can only give Israel weapons. It can't stop bombardments from coming at them. It can't stop bombs from being leveled at Israel. America cannot stop that. The only thing America can do is make money off of giving Israel weapons. The only thing they can do is give money to stop Hamas rockets from coming through by using what they call the Patriot. Let me digress. While America is willing to do this, while America is willing to give Israel however many weapons it can, the truth is that it cannot stop Israel from being attacked. The only countries at this point that can stop Israel from being attacked, the only countries that can bring all of Israel's enemies to the table, including Pakistan, which is a nuclear country, are China and Russia. Do you understand? The United States can support Israel, but it cannot stop it from being hit. In other words, it can buy it a shield, but it cannot stop the bullets from being shot at them. Now, someone earlier today asked me to speak about Hamas. In order to speak about Hamas, we have to talk about how Hamas was created. Unfortunately, Hamas was created because Israel decided that the PLO was too powerful and they wanted to ruin them. They wanted to splinter the PLO. And so they fostered a division between the Palestinians who lived in the West Bank and the Palestinians in Gaza because they thought it would be easier to deal with each of them as a separate entity than it would be to deal with them together. So in many ways, I'm not saying, Israel created Hamas in a lab. No, but they thought that helping the creation of Hamas would better their position in terms of dealing with the Palestinian people by dealing with the PLO and the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, which was bought and paid for, a lot of Palestinians have said. and the people in Hamas. After the murder of Yitzhak Rabin, right? After the murder of Yitzhak Rabin, Israel took a hard right turn, right? The murder of Yitzhak Rabin was really Israel's 9/11, right? When they talk about Israel's 9/11 and they compare it, it's a very much false equivalency, because I want to remind all you people that are watching this that after 9/11, all American politics shifted to the right. You understand? So after 9/11, someone that was thought to be a Republican was a centrist. This is why politics are so fucked up in this country. This is why there's no left. Yitzhak Rabin was a prime minister of Israel that wanted to make peace with Arafat. They were signing a preliminary agreement to make peace, and he was killed by a Zionist. In the same way that Anwar Sadat, that was then trying to make peace with Israel, was then killed by a Muslim. Do you understand? So there has to be some historical context in all of this. Without historical context, all you get is CNN and Fox and these other major sites that are sitting there saying and repeating these talking points, but never giving historical context. So they would have you believe, and I almost can't blame people for being ignorant, because they would have you believe that this started 3 days ago, that this was an unprovoked attack. And I'm sorry it wasn't. I've been really hurt by seeing dead people all day, because I told people you can't watch American news to get the truth. You can't watch it. And I seen dead babies. I seen arms falling off of kids. I seen a little kid with no eyes. I seen shit that people shouldn't see in life. And it reminded me of the times in which I really seen people die. And that shit is traumatizing, because I tell you, the realest motherfuckers I ever met in my life, they don't like seeing dead people, bro. They don't like that. They just deal with that because they want to deal with it. Look, I don't have a problem fighting nobody, and it's not because I like to fight people. I'm just so used to growing up having people test me that it's just like, okay, it's time to put my big boy pants on, and that's it. The people don't even know that it's propaganda. I'm going to say something else, and maybe I lose more followers for saying this. But the truth is that the problems that I've had arguing with Zionists, right? I'm going to repeat that. The problems that I've had arguing with Zionists, even people I've known for a long time, are that they usually only come away with two impressions of you. Either that you're a bigot that hates Jewish people, or that you're a really intelligent bigot that hates Jewish people and has read a lot of history. But very rarely is there a time in which they confront their own narrative and say, well, wait a minute, maybe the things I was told about how there were no Palestinians living there and this was an empty land, maybe that was a lie. There's never a conversation where people say, hey, wait a minute. There's a difference between Zionists and between Jewish people. Judaism is a religion that's thousands of years old. And Zionism is a political ideology that was born in the middle of the 19th century, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that there has to be historical context to this. It cannot just be pure ignorance and nonsense. So I get it. A lot of people are hurting. I've seen Jewish people that have written me on here and said, hey, one of my family members died. I'm hurt. But I'm also really hurt that this is when the news has decided to pay attention. You know, when certain people die, then you want to pay all the attention. You want to interview the families of the people that were kidnapped. And I'm empathetic. I really am. Please don't think I'm not. I'm not a sociopath. I bleed like everybody else. I'm hurt when I see that. But I'm also hurt that you act like you just care about people being kidnapped now. Because the same news media has said nothing about the hundreds of children that languish in Israeli prisons. They've been kidnapped. They're held without any due process. It's not like America. Do you understand? I understand that there are going to be double standards, yes. But more than that, I think that there is an international agreement between Western nations to always paint Palestinians as the aggressors, even when their land has been taken by other people, even when their children have been taken. So now all of a sudden we want to talk about rape. Rape is horrible. Like I said in the first part of this thing, I said anyone who finds an excuse for that is now morally bankrupt. But you can't discuss one people's rape without the other. The hypocrisy and the double standard of never asking or never saying, well, how many women were raped by Israeli soldiers? Or why is it that Palestinians are the only ones that have to condemn their violence? The Israelis never have to condemn themselves when they come on these shows. And I will repeat this since I have been repeating this all day. The natural enemy of the Jewish people have never been Arabs. The natural enemy of Arabs and Muslims have never been the Jewish people. Why do I say that? Because unlike the people who are angry in the comments or angry outside, I'll get to the comments eventually. Unlike them, I've read history, and I know that Europe kicked out more Jewish people than the Middle East times 10. Do you understand? I'll go over it again. Europe, England, ousted all of its Jewish people. Austria kicked out all of its Jewish people. France, Lithuania, Hungary, Portugal, Sicily, Spain, Milan, Naples, Germany. I could go on. The natural enemy of the Jewish people have never been historically Arab people, have never historically been Muslim people. Arabs and Jews died side by side when the Crusaders came to their land for 400-500 fucking years. These people were put into the same place and set up by the forces of imperialism to destroy each other. Do you understand? They're pawns in a person's bigger game. And I'm free Palestine to the death because I'm willing to stand on that. I'm willing to stand on the fact that these people are not natural enemies and they've been pitted against each other. But I'm also willing to stand on the fact that there was ethnic cleansing in Palestine. And you know why? I'm using Ben-Gurion's own words, one of the founders of Israel. He said, yes, we need to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians because just like the British people and other Europeans, these individuals used to be proud of atrocities. Do you understand? The British Empire used to be proud of rape and murder, and now they're ashamed of it. Now they're ashamed of what they did. Now they want to write out the history of what they did in Africa. Now they're ashamed. And you should be. You should be ashamed of what you've done. But now you want to erase other people's history. You want to erase the history of the people that have lived in an open-air prison. The people that have been kidnapped for 75 fucking years. And I'm telling you the truth. I put something in my story. Some lady out there told me to go home. She said, go home. And I got mad. But I reached into myself and I said, you know what? You can't be angry no more. You can't display anger. So I just started laughing at this woman. I said, yeah, we all want to go home. The Palestinian people want to go home. These bum-ass cops, they want to go home. I'm sure the people that have been kidnapped in Gaza, I'm sure they want to go home. And the people who live in a fucking refugee camp, who eat dirt, and drink poison water, who have their children bombed with white phosphorus, I'm sure they want to go home too, fuckface. I'm very glad that liberals and that conservatives have found something to unify themselves to write out the history of the Palestinian people. That's why I don't believe in any of them. And I had an argument with some conservative Christian on Twitter that I posted, and I said, listen, man, I truly believe, this is my belief, right? Because I grew up understanding how indigenous people lived. I said, wow, they had a wonderful society. If people really lived by those teachings, man, this world would be a better place. You read about the teachings of Jesus and you say, man, well, if people really lived by the teachings of Jesus Christ, I think this world would be a better place. Because ultimately that message is just treat people the way you want to be treated. But unfortunately, the moment that Christ died, his message was hijacked and his religion fell into the hands of lesser men. And all they ever did was use that as a pretext for colonialism, conquest, rape, and murder. And we're living in the aftermath of that. Do you understand? Now I'm going to read the comments. Someone said that Egypt tried to warn Israel about the attack many times. Hey, listen, I'm not going to tolerate no Nazi shit in my fucking feed. Get that shit the fuck out of here, bro. We're not doing that. Fuck that. That doesn't help the Palestinian people. Get that shit the fuck out my feed. Get that Nazi bullshit the fuck out my feed. Go take that to the Azov battalion, motherfucker. Nobody's pro-Holocaust, you coward. That doesn't help our people. That shit is poison. The fuck is wrong with you? I told you before, and I will repeat it again for the third time, since sometimes people do not want to hear. The natural enemy of the Jewish people have never been Arabs. The natural enemy of the Arab people have historically never been Jewish people. These people were placed there by the British Empire so that there would be chaos after they left. The other players that are involved, Syria, which is fractured but still has an army, Lebanon, which still has a huge guerrilla fighting force, and I would say a series of other mujahideen elements that no one can really tell by now what they could be. All these people will get involved if Iran is struck. Okay. Also, Iran is not like Hamas. Okay. Iran has a whole fucking navy and a whole air force. Now, it might not be up to the standards of Israel, but it won't be a fight that's easy. It's a fight that will cost Israeli lives. There's another thing that's at play here that some people have pointed out to me. Netanyahu said that his response will change the face of the Arab world forever. The only thing that could potentially change the face is not conventional weaponry. So here we have a guy who's not Putin, who's threatening potential nuclear war, and the West says nothing. That's all you need to hear about conservative Christianity. And that's all you need to hear about liberalism from Democrats. No one's condemned that. No one's condemned the idea that there could be World War III and that if there's a nuclear strike, America is still honor bound to deal with Israel. That's insane. Yes, I've heard of the Samson option. Jesse Wendell said, no, he's threatening to bomb them to the ground, not nuking them. Hey, brother, I don't think you heard me, Jesse. Bombing them to the ground is not something they've never seen before. That's not going to change the face of the Middle East forever. Do you understand? I'm just going to repeat that, Jesse. Bombing their buildings and destroying their buildings is not something they've never seen before. It's not going to change the face of the Middle East. The only thing that changes the face of the Middle East is a tactical nuclear weapon. Do you understand? That will change the face of the Middle East, and that's the underlying threat that he's making. If you don't see that, then I'm afraid that your perspective is either biased or clouded. And I hope it's not, brother. I hope that you hear my message, and I apologize if it comes across harsh, but I respectfully want to try and educate people, and maybe I need to stop being like hurt and aggressive, but whatever the case may be, Jesse, they're not talking about carpet bombing. They're not talking about white phosphorus. They're already bombing people with white phosphorus, brother. They're talking about a potential nuclear strike on Iran. If that happens, I can't tell you what the response will be because I don't know. If I want unbiased news, where should I go? Well, you're not going to find it on CNN or Fox. You're not going to find it on any of these sites. You're probably going to find it on like foreign language televisions, sometimes European channels, definitely Middle Eastern channels. They'll show you the rawness. But I'm going to tell you, man, y'all not ready to see that shit, man. Look, I'm not like a lot of my friends, and I'm a lot like some of my friends. I've seen a lot of people die, bro. You understand? I've seen a lot of people die, and that shit changed me. That made me a colder person. That made me really fucked up inside. And I had to see a lot of people die in the past 2 days. I'm seeing little kids with no eyes, with half their face gone, with their whole chest open. I see a little girl with no legs. Like, if you really strong enough to look at that, then you can follow independent journalism, and I guarantee you'll see that. But it may not be something that you're really ready for. Do you understand? Human beings are affected by what they see. Deeply. I really, 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 really wish that this was over. But unfortunately, we're going to see a lot more dead people before it is. There is a potential solution, though. Do you understand? There is a potential solution. The only people that can guarantee the safety of Israel and potentially create a Palestinian state that would then have the protection of a foreign entity is not America. America has lost its place in the world. The United States, and don't say it's under Joe Biden, it was under Mr. Trump too. For those clowns that are in here that said he never started a war. Yeah, but he still funded that monstrosity in Yemen, knowing exactly what it was. He dropped a Moab on Afghanistan and expanded the drone strikes. He only paused them. He paused Obama's drone strikes for 18 months and then started them again. Stop setting your watches to this broken clock-ass motherfucker. I'm going to say something else. The Democrats used you. They pretended that they were anti-war in 2004, and you believed them, and so you voted for Obama thinking that you were going to get over it, and then Mr. Trump used you. The Republicans used you. They pretended that they're anti-establishment, anti-Illuminati. They don't give a fuck about that. They're elitists too. And you think that they're better than Democrats because of this or that? No. They're both garbage. They both represent this. They're both backing this. This is what they both agree about. Dead Palestinian children. And because you love one or the other, you're sitting here arguing with me with their cock in your mouth. The Democrats used you when they pretended to be anti-war. I was at the war rallies. And I saw them there. And they were like, please, we need to stop this war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Please stop the war. And what happened? After Obama got elected, all those people went away. And they said, we need to continue the war in Afghanistan because we can't leave the job undone. We need to continue the war in Iraq for security. We need to start a new war in Syria to prevent death. They used you. And now Republicans are using you, my own fans. They're using you. They're convincing you that they believe in these conspiracy theories, but you're just a useful idiot for them. They're using you. They're not anti-Illuminati. It's hard to be counterculture when you have the presidency, the Supreme Court, and Congress. Fuckface. What's wrong with you? You can't see the writing on the wall? They pretend to humor you about flat earth and about reptilians. They're laughing at you. They're laughing at you. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry I'm going off like this. I apologize to y'all. I know y'all deserve a better version of me. I know every single person in my life probably deserve a better version of me. But I seen too many motherfuckers die, man. I seen too many people die, bro. And now today and yesterday, I gotta watch little kids die, bro. I seen dead Israeli kids, bro. And I seen a lot of dead Palestinian children. I'm disgusted and I'm horrified by this. How could a person not be? But when you just talk about the humanity of one of them, and you refuse to acknowledge the humanity of other people, that's when you know you're wrong. That's when you know you're wrong. My lady's family is trapped in Palestine, and they fear reprisals. I don't know how it ends, but I know that it's not going to end soon. If there is a war, there could be potential attacks in the West. You understand what that means? There's no morality in war. There's just a side. There ceases to be right and wrong. I'll give you an example. When I wanted to review the Syrian war, do you know what I saw? I saw American mercenaries cut a little girl's head off. American paid mercenaries that worked for FSA cut a little girl's head off. You cut a little fucking girl's head off. She was fucking 8 years old. You cut her fucking head off. I saw you. You fucking animals. You cut her head off. And then what did I see? I saw a video of a bunch of Assad soldiers crushing a guy's head with a rock after he had been raped by other people, and they threw him in a ditch. Do you understand? People don't... When war starts, morality goes out the window, man. Morality goes out the window when a war starts. People who survived World War II will tell you they just killed Japanese people who were trying to surrender. Who gives a fuck? I think that it would be incredibly hard for people not to recognize that there's going to be an expansion of this war. That you're about to see a whole new caliber of weapons that people have. It hurts me that people can't see it. That there could be a war that affects everything. You know, it could infect. Do you understand? The dollar could be worth 10% of what it is in a year. I try to tell people around me, this is coming, this might be coming. And so many people wouldn't listen. Man, a few people even laughed at me. You would think, man, nobody would ever laugh at Technique, right? He's so smart. But some people, they don't see it that way. Some people think, oh, this nigga, he's just going off. He's not. I've been right about a lot of things too, though. Right? I don't come out with a lot of predictions, bro. I don't come out with a lot of predictions. I'm not Nostradamus. I'm not trying to be right. That's the difference between me and these fucking nuts out here. I'm not trying to be right. I wish I wasn't right. I'm trying to be human. I'm trying to be human. I'm trying to get you, the people who just back Israel in the comments, to see the Palestinian people as human beings. I'm trying to get people who are in the Arab world to say that this war can't continue forever, can we? At some point, there has to be some kind of peace, but it cannot come if we do not acknowledge the existence of the Palestinian people. It cannot happen if we do not guarantee the safety of the million refugees that have been kicked out of their home. And I'll tell you right now, I'm probably going to lose some fans. There will be some unfollows because of this live, and that's okay. That's all right. I'm with God. I'm with God, and I want the best for everyone. I don't want no one to die. And because I feel like my heart is pure in wishing for those things and praying for peace, that I know it'll be heard and understood. And then there's the other side of me that thinks, you know what? You know what? I'm not afraid. I can say all these things. I'm hurt, but I'm not afraid. I stopped being afraid of anything a long time ago. That's honestly what makes me scary to some of my friends and to a lot of my enemies, that I'm not scared of nothing, bro. That you gonna have to jump out the woodwork, right? To get to do something that's scary. I'm not scared of ghosts. They can't hurt you, motherfucker, if you don't believe in them, right? Ghoulies and ghosts and other things, right? They're not real. And even if they were, then there's no God to protect us from them, is there? So who the fuck cares, right? Because if they're real, then the other one isn't real. Or if that one's real, this one isn't real. We could play this philosophical game all day. What I do know is that I feel like if Jesus was here now, he would absolutely be able to say, this is horrible, this has to stop. And yet the people that worship Christ in this nation, the vast majority of them, are calling for more war. How is that Christian? How is that following the message of Jesus? Calling for more war and more death and more bombardment. Again, this did not start 3 years ago. This started 75 years ago. And when people say, Felipe, are you going to condemn this or that? I say that's a trick question, because only the supporters of Palestine are asked to condemn their people. But I will repeat for everyone listening and people who just came into the chat, the natural enemy of the Jewish people have never been Arabs, have never been Muslims. The natural enemy of Muslim and Arab people have never been Jewish people. The natural enemy of the Jewish people, if you want to read history, have historically been imperialistic governments from Europe. They were the ones that expelled Jews from, I'm going to read this list again to you, England, France, Austria, Lithuania, Hungary, Spain, Portugal, Sicily, Milan, Naples, Germany, and several other countries. There is a big difference between a beautiful religion of Judaism that is thousands of years old and Zionism, which is a political ideology that was invented in the 19th century. Oh, shout to Allison. I love you, Allison. I appreciate your love, sis. I love you, Allison, and I need you. I need your friendship and I need your strength, and I thank you for being in the live. I couldn't stomach American media anymore. I felt like I was being lied to. I felt like I was being lied to, and I felt like they were spitting in my face with these lies. So I made a decision, and now I don't know if I agree with my decision, but I looked into Pandora's box and I saw so many dead people. I saw, like I said before, a little kid with no fucking eyes and a little girl with no legs. I seen people, little kids without a chest and with no arms. And that shit is seared into my fucking head. It reminds me of the times in which I seen real people dead, right? It's not right. It's not right. The fourth branch is hard at work. Right? The fourth branch is hard at work. Because they're sitting here laughing. Right? They're laughing. The temple was never destroyed by Muslims. The temple was destroyed by Titus and Vespasian. The temple wasn't destroyed by Arab people. It was destroyed by Romans. The media wants them to kill each other. That's the way I honestly see it. We as free-thinking people have to unite. And we cannot be pulled apart by these petty differences. I'm going to post this live, I promise you. I'm going to post this live. Nah, man, I'm hurt. I'm fucked up, but I'm all right. I've been through worse. Listen, man, I survived living in a cage with most of the people I loved abandoning me. So I'm going to be okay, brother. Right? But I appreciate your concern. I appreciate your concern for me. But I'm going to be okay. They don't make them like they make me no more. Right? Me and my conglomerate shall survive apocalypse. Listen, I'm going to hit you with bars because that's what y'all really want. Some of y'all, you're not here for this. So I'm going to tell you like this. Politically, you've been living a lie. It's been a soft coup ever since Kennedy died. I take tank parts behind enemy lines. It's like Saigon 1975. Afghanistan walking through enemy mines. I escaped all the corners trying to survive. Like Chris Dorner when they burnt him alive. And just like him, I got a fucking surprise. I know it's difficult to see the divide when you're already addicted to what they prescribe. When the aliens arrive, it's another distraction, consolidating all the political factions, paying them with digital currency transactions, part of the plan to get a violent reaction. They play both sides like the fucking Mossad, so I hit them like a firing squad with a barrage when I black out like a school of cephalopods, because the man-made kingdom of God is a facade, part of a theocratical radical movement. Everything you see now is part of the blueprint. The 7 mountains and the zealot recruitment, and paint that shit like a fucking improvement. They fire chemical pollutants into the crowd, or a sonic weapon that'll take you to the ground, pop you with pellets of polonium compound, and cremate you before the evidence found, so the general will send a delegate to your town, underground like a Neolithic burial mound, and rip you down like a metal Confederate clown, and expose the black sites in America now. Started with a crew, and now I got an army to hunt you down like a fucking safari. I will return. And when I do, I will show you the meaning of a lyrical revolution. I will show you the true meaning of a jihad, because it is a spiritual war within oneself. Before you ever raise a hand to another man, jihad is in you. It is the fight against the bad in you. It is the fight against the shaitan in you. Don't you ever declare war on another person until you've conquered yourself. All right, man. Listen, I think I've gone off enough here. This shit is going on for almost an hour. I love you motherfuckers, man. Revolutionary Volume 3. You already know what the fuck it is. I've been talking about this historical context, which I think is necessary. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'm sorry I left you alone for so long on this planet. I had to find the missing parts of myself I lost in the gambit. I caught caught a glimpse of the future, and now I see how it ends. So I gathered you here to spend this last little bit of time with my friends. The last kiss goodnight before I fade into black. But I can see the outline of the person that I'll be when I'm back. I love you, motherfuckers. Y'all don't get no more free shit, man. I love y'all, man, and I want y'all to be safe. I want you to be good. Please take care of yourself. And please remember that if you're not living in Israel and Palestine right now, that doesn't mean you can't be affected by some kind of violence that happens. There may be attacks in the West if this actually turns into a larger war. Don't you get it? Don't you see? I appreciate you. My brother Q, I love you, man. Big shout out to my indigenous brothers and sisters, my Native American brothers and sisters. I want to say happy Indigenous Peoples Day to you. I want to say that Columbus was the original Jeffrey Epstein, right? For the conservative people, for the libertarians that are foolishly praising Columbus, Bashufak Bishhanem. You hear me? That's my message to you. Bashufak Bishhanem. I will see you in hell, motherfucker. You hear me? You praising Columbus, but he was the Jeffrey Epstein of his time because all he did was traffic little girls on a fucking island. Do you hear me? That's all Jeffrey Epstein ever did, and that's all fucking Columbus ever did is traffic native girls on a fucking island, and you praise him like he's some fucking hero. He never set foot in America. He was a slave master and a loser. And if you're going to sit there and praising him, you're a fucking loser too. Now, if I lose fans over this, then fine, I lost fans. But I gained my respect. All right. I'm done. I'm done. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shout out wherever you're from. So just tell me where you're from and I'll shout it out and I'm going to say goodnight on a good level. All right? I don't know if I'm going to be doing interviews with any other sites because I just want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my fans. I want to talk to the people I love. I don't want to talk to a bunch of frauds. Oklahoma in the building. Shout to Oklahoma. Puerto Rico in the house. Toronto in the building. Chicago. Shout to Chicago. San Diego. California. Los Angeles. Morocco. Palestine, I love you, Palestine. Queens in the building. Utah, Eritrea, Central America, Atlanta, Memphis. Wow, we got a lot of people. Guatemala's in the house. Washington, D.C. is in the building. Yemen is in the house. Pico Union, L.A., Ecuador. Lebanon, Kuwait, Albania, home of the Skender Bag, Toronto, Cali, Glendale, LA, London. More people from Toronto. Belfast, Chucky Arla. I love you motherfuckers. Mexico, Peru, Pakistan. I love y'all, man. I'm going to say a prayer right now. I pray for peace. I pray that everybody that's watching this gets home safe to their families. And I want the killing to stop. But I want there to be historical context. I want people to know what happened and not think this is something that started 3 days ago. I love you. God bless all of you. Peace.